Hi, I'm Bethan. I'm the executive director of Western Forest Industries Museum, the nonprofit that owns Mount Rainier Scenic Railroad.
And I'm Rowdy. I'm the rail operations manager of the Mount Rainier Scenic Railroad. And this is Bird.
Bird's the business manager. We already filmed this once, and then we filmed it again. And we were clean. We looked great. It was really professional.
That was corrupted. Bird would love to be here.
You're getting us in our natural habitat,
After we were
unpolished,
just in a boiler.
unvarnished, and covered in boiler. Welcome to our YouTube channel.
Mount Rainier Rail, the official home of the Mount Rainier Scenic Railroad on YouTube.
Tell me a little bit about the start of Mount Rainier Scenic Railroad and Tom Murray.
Okay, so in 1981, Tom Murray, founder of the Western Forest Industries Museum, decided that he wanted to grow. The Western Forest Industries Museum was Camp 6 in Point Defiance Park. So he didn't want to grow within the confines of the park, so he looked elsewhere. George Weyerhaeuser had just bought the railroad from Milwaukee Road. They were abandoning the area because they went belly up. Tom, being good friends with George, said, "Hey, can I come out here and play train on your railroad?" George said, "Sure, I will be on the board of Western Forest Industries Museum as well." So they came out. They started with a Climax and a Heisler, which was dumb.
Those are steam engines.
Yes, we'll show them to you later. But it was dumb to start with those two engines. But through sheer perseverance and sheer will, we are here today.
Tom was a very successful businessman. He was involved in logging. He'd grown up around steam engines. And as steam engines fell out of disuse, a lot of these things were rotting away, rusting away in the woods, and he really wanted to save them. American Heritage Railways took over Mount Rainier Scenic Railroad when Tom was in ill health and knew that he wasn't going to be around much longer to be a benefactor and keep it going. So in 2015, 2016, AHR, the operators of the Durango and Silverton Great Smoky Mountain Railroad, purchased Mount Rainier. They did a lot of work, started a lot of events like the Polar Express. We saw about 40,000 passengers in 6 weeks during the Polar Express. Anyway, we were all former employees, including Bert. March 2020 happened. American Heritage ran into some operational difficulties, and the rest of the world was experiencing a pandemic, and the railroad was shut down. And we really only had a few weeks to notice and to pack everything up, and we didn't know what was going to happen with the place. And
then we were fired.
That too. A lot of the employees got together and, we talked about what we would do and how we could save the railroad. And at the same time, there was a new mayor being elected in Eatonville, David Boblitz, and he really saw the railroad as just this fantastic opportunity for the town. They really, really felt the absence of the railroad. That's huge economic impact to have 60, 70,000 people in a town of 2,500. Well, Elby's, a town of 40. He started talking to us about what we would do. And here we are.
Against our better judgment.
So we've got a plan to reopen the railroad. And it involves a few different phases. And one is we're starting a rail bike program this spring. That's Bird's department. We've designed our own rail bikes. We're excited to start with that because we can start running immediately without having quite as much red tape and regulation and hundreds of thousands of dollars spent on equipment before we get going. The second phase is getting the railroad operational, and that's Rowdy's department. Third phase, track expansion to Eatonville so that we've got more railroad to run. We're out of a nice sort of epicenter that's got restaurants and a hotel and a little bit more infrastructure than LB has. And then our fourth plan is to build a new museum. As the museum right now, quite frankly, we could just do better. It doesn't focus much on the stories of the people that lived along and worked along the railroad. And that's what people really connect with. The equipment is really cool and it's really impressive, but there are so many stories about people that aren't being told, and we want to do a better job highlighting that. First initial beginnings of the railroad with the Nisqually tribe, highlight all of the immigrants and workers that came to the railroad and worked in some pretty astonishing terrible conditions in the log camps. How this whole industry built the area and really built the country really was the Wild West. Logging and railroading and all of those stories that you hear. We're gonna do a better job with the museum.
Uh-oh. I put a wrinkle in Bird.
All right. On our YouTube channel, I'm going to talk a lot about restarting a business and managing a nonprofit.
I'm going to talk about how to operate it, how to fix it, and how to make it cool.
Steam engines, passenger cars. And Bird, who's usually the voice of reason, is going to talk a lot about rail bikes and construction projects, and you'll meet them.
So like, subscribe, comment, and donate, because without you, we can't do this. I'm Bernie Sanders, and I am once again calling on your financial support.
Ow! Oh, there was a phone in there. Okay, bye. Thanks for watching. If you want to see more of these video updates or to help support the railroad, check us out on Patreon. Link is below, and consider becoming a supporter.